Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mike Asherbrenner, the proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business. And today we have a great show, special treat. We got the one and only Dr. Jane Williams. Fantastic. She's going to be cracking the code, talking about women in IT. In tech, this lady is just phenomenal. Brilliant as she is, big hearted, guys. So, as usual, folks on the radio, in Radio Land over there in Richmond, RVA. Hey, welcome to the Hounds of Business presents Mike King Biz Radio, 106.1 FM, ESPN, RVA. I get it right. So without further ado, we'll run the intro video and we will bring Dr. Jane right up.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbrenner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right. Hey, if you're in the car on Friday in Richmond, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for tuning in. And hey, just go ahead and go to findyourfirecoach.com. Findyourfirecoach.com. That is Dr. Jane's website. You can find all the good things we're going to talk about and connect with her there. She's also on LinkedIn, and or you can send a carrier pigeon. Without further ado, Dr. Jane, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm unbelievable. You're here. How am I not unbelievable? Dadgummit. Let's see. Look, all right, the hounds are showing up in the comments. Guys, if you're on the radio and you want to check out this live for whatever reason or want to go back and find resources, find us on YouTube, Hounds of Business on YouTube, also on LinkedIn slash Redneck One. So let's get started. I am so happy. We met through the great Tanya Eberhard. Did you hear that intro? You heard that voice, didn't you?
Yep, that was her.
It was, and, brandfacestar.com, we gotta give her a shout out. She cleaned me up for Pete's sake, right? She if she can clean me up, my goodness.
She's amazing. I mean, the work they do is just so it seems so simple and but when you go through it, it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that stuff? They're just amazing. They pull everything together for you.
You're right, like, haircuts look simple, but, if I Edward Scissorhands my own head, I'll be in trouble, right? So,
Right.
absolutely, good point. So, let's start with let's talk about baby Jane. Let's go back to a little bit of early years. All right. You talked about this, and I think this is funny. So we'll skip ahead for the radio folks. You skipped first grade, right? What was that like at a young age?
It was honestly terrifying. I mean, my parents thought it was great. I could read before anybody else could. So they said, okay, why not? And suddenly I was in there with kids who were older than I was, who thought I was just being cool. And so I learned really early to just shut up and stay in the back and don't say anything and don't attract attention. So I think in some ways, everybody thought that would be a great thing for me, but in others, it was just really the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, it's funny because my little one, she's 5 years old, and I can see you and her very similar, very opposite of me, right? So being intellectually advanced, right, skipping first grade and going on, because of your smarts, but also being socially shy. How
Yeah.
did that affect childhood in your experience?
It was a lot. I missed so many opportunities. I mean, you feel like when you're shy, you're just bottled up and you don't really reach out to people. And you're kind of looking at the world and how it's reacting to you, instead of you looking out and making things happen. So, as an introvert, anybody who is, and a lot of people in IT are that way, you'll understand what I'm saying. But it's I look back and, it was a hard struggle to get myself out of that, but realizing it, to begin with, that there was something I needed to work on was difficult to begin with. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and we talked before on the HOB Live, right? And you talked about a quote your father gave, which was finding ways around brick walls when
Yeah.
you were little. Yeah, how does that shape your approach to life's challenges and where you're at today, Jane?
There's so many challenges that I've faced that, and a lot of it is being in a male dominated industry. I mean, I was raised to have a firm, rock solid belief that I could do whatever I wanted. And when I came up against, opposition to that, it's you can either face stuff head on and just try to break down that brick wall. You can go along with it and say, okay, this brick wall is here, I can't go any farther. Or you can kind of peek around the side and look and see if there's another way around that wall. And so that was my natural inclination to do that. And you know, I coach a lot of women who are feel like they're up against that brick wall, and rather than just slam into it, you know, just find a way around it. Be smarter than the people who are in your way, and make your own future happen. So,
Good deal. Yeah, and I want folks to know because there's, we do live in a world where things can be challenging, right? If you're a man, woman, or you come from different, status or whatnot, and so you can relate to a lot of people, right? Especially your career started over 20. Is it 20 years ago in
oh,
tech
way
field?
over there. Yeah, I shouldn't even say.
Okay, well we'll just go. We'll go with 20
We'll go
plus.
with
Right? We'll just
25.
put
Yeah.
25. All right, well, good. So let me ask you, what inspired you? Was it childhood? Was it somebody that you admired? What inspired you to pursue a career in, IT?
You know, that's hilarious. I started out with a degree in political science. I had no aspirations or inclination towards IT at all. And it's so funny is my mom was into computers before they first, she had one of the very first Apple computers. It's signed by Steve Wozniak. I still have it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
But I kind of fell into IT. So I kind of had this background. Both my parents were kind of into it before I was, but I fell into it. I graduated with a master's degree in MBA, and I got a job as a financial analyst, which is probably the worst thing on the planet for me. And that became apparent really quickly. So, but I did have an affinity for working on automated spreadsheets and doing things. You know, I've always been, how do we get out of doing hard work? And so automation was a big thing for me. So that ended me up in the information center, and then I fell in love with technology there. So, you know, technology kind of found me rather than me finding it, which happens to a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking to you backstage about how I got my programming degree. And then I went to a big, huge company for an interview, and I saw these cubicles. Right? And I was like, they're just people sitting there like, remind me of the cattle, right? You had the cattle stalls and they're just sitting there clacking away. And I said, who's that? He said, that's the programmers. I said, oh no, I just spent 3 years in the wrong thing. Oh, so at least you found out early. So speaking of that, right? Can you share the story? Because I think it's good and kind of really telling of your graduate class. You did a speaking and presentation. How did that become a turning point for you?
That was a huge turning point for me. I had gone through, I probably most of my master's degree without saying a single word in class. It was crazy. I was terrified. And we had an assignment to actually create a presentation and deliver it on video, which people today are used to doing video, but back then you just didn't do video. And it was
Right.
terrifying. And I was all upset and terrified, but I did the best I could on my presentation and I rehearsed it, you know, and everything. I got into the room and all the guys were totally freaked out. I was the only woman in my class. And a couple of them actually left and they went to throw up. They were so excited, you know, so nervous about it. And I thought, well, this is just silly. This is just absolutely silly. This is just put it in perspective. This is just a presentation. How could it go wrong? And so I just got up and I just did it. And realizing it and doing that first time and realizing that, yeah, you're not going to die. Other people are more scared than you are. And it just makes more sense to just do it. And so that was kind of a turning point. And after that, I kind of able, it kind of broke some of the barriers down. So that first time is always the hardest, though.
Yeah, but you did. It's courage before confidence, right, Jane? That's eh, people say, "Well, where'd you get the confidence? You just have a bunch of confidence." No, you gotta have courage. Courage to look like a donkey and put a camo hat on and see what happens, right? Courage to go and do something you absolutely don't wanna do. It's like Tyson. Mike Tyson said, "Discipline is doing what you hate like you love it." Right?
Oh, I
You've
love
done that.
that. I love that.
Yeah, I can't get enough Mike Tyson shorts on YouTube, guys. He's whether you like him or not, it's hard to it's like a fortune cookie, right? Just get mad at it, nobody cares. So let me go here. IBM career because this was
Yeah.
a big deal, right? This is like I
Mhm.
said, this is before everybody was on social media and everybody ran from the camera and all this kind of thing. I was one of those guys. Don't film me, right? So, what was your experience like working at IBM for those 2 decades, especially in a woman that was completely in a male-dominated industry?
It was unbelievable experience. One of the things I had been a job hopper before. Nothing was great. I got bored with everything, and I would move on to the next job. And I joined this huge corporation, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm selling out," because everybody wanted me to go do this. But it's such a huge company and such a wealth of opportunity that I started learning from the minute I got there. And I never did I woke up one morning thinking, man, I wish I could wake up knowing exactly what I'm doing today because it was just exciting. I mean, you were a new challenge every day. There were new positions to take. I started as a consultant, ended up in marketing of all things. So over that span, and that's one of the things I kind of think about. People want to be an entrepreneur, want to do their own thing and go from, opportunity to opportunity. But if you find somewhere that you're comfortable in an environment like that in a large corporation, you can make your way just like if you were an entrepreneur out on your own. So it was fantastic experience, and it was a great growth experience. And like you said, if you're not challenging yourself or being challenged every second of every day, you either you use it or you lose it, and you learn and you grow and you use it over and over again and challenge yourself. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely, and something you mentioned earlier, other people, they wanna see you do good. I noticed that in public speaking. It's like that in a lot of things, right, Jane, where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm nervous. What if I mess up?" In my experience, most people are just happy it ain't them on stage, right? They're rooting for you. They really want you to succeed. Is that what you kind of found as you start gaining traction in your career where, maybe some people didn't care, but other people really did say, "Hey, I see you. Good for you, because 'cause you're overcoming obstacles. You're kind of pioneering this field for you know
That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I was able to mentor a lot of people in that. I had a lot of good mentors. So it takes attention, and look out and find the good people out there. I actually, and I can't remember what year I did this, but it was very early in my career. I hired a coach. I realized that
Smart.
I was frustrated. And the first thing I learned in that very first session with that coach was I was blaming everybody else for my own problems and my own inadequacies rather than taking personal accountability for it. And, this is kind of winding off into another story, but, when people take it all on themselves and they're thinking all about themselves rather than what they're projecting, and when you're on stage talking to people on stage, what are they looking for? They're looking to be interested. They're looking to be engaged. They don't care if you mess up. If you mess up, it's kind of even more fun. So go for it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you give grace, you get grace, right? And that's how you win people over, right? When you celebrate their wins and then, help them when they mess up, and that you're very humble, you're very patient, especially with me. So that tells you everybody everything. Um, but you're down to earth, I think that's what it is. You're just easy going, you're down to earth. You're all business, but you're fun. What's that? Like a mullet. You're a business in the
I
front,
love
party
it.
in the back. That's Dr. Jane. Now
There
I'm
you go.
gonna get in trouble. All right. You're fun. All right. Let's see. What on that note, right? What did you do? So let the folks know because there's a lot of people watching, men and women, right? So how did you navigate and succeed in managing global teams across these various industries in your career? Like, what are some things that you had discovered, new, or learned along the way?
That's interesting. As managing a global team is extremely difficult if you're focused on just one way of doing things. Flexibility is the biggest thing when you're doing a global team. It's like a team in Japan has a completely different outlook than and upbringing and background, and they're worried about different things than say your team in India. A team in China is the same thing. And there's language barriers, obviously. So communicating in the most flexible way possible, always follow stuff up with a written, affirmation. Remember that people who aren't native English speakers aren't going to want to be at 9 o'clock trying to remember how to speak English, when they're tired. So,
Right.
things like that. It's just be flexible and be accommodating and try to understand your audience and who that team is and what their motives are, not just simply your motives.
Absolutely. All right. So we're at the halftime point. We got to give a shout out to Mike King Biz Radio. Oh wow, man, the partnership with the Hounds of Business. This guy, they love it. They put him on the jumbotron when they go to the Virginia games and stuff. I mean, and I know why. He pushes up everybody. Man, he's always spotlighting amazing people in the community and businesses. He really is. We need Mike Kings in every city. So lucky you, Richmond. Hey, if you're just joining us, we're on the radio Friday. If you're alive right now, hey, welcome. All right. No strays out there. All right. We do more together. So if you want to be around other heart-centered high-level professionals like Dr. Jane here, hey, life's hard, business is hard. Don't do it alone. All right. Plug into a place where you can be supported, have the resources you may lack, and scale up, guys. So Hounds of Business on YouTube, Hounds of Business on LinkedIn, Carrier Pigeon. All right. I've got more options coming. You'll be able to find us. So thank you, Mike King. Love the audience out in Virginia and Richmond. All these business folks getting up early. I appreciate you guys. And we got some folks in the comments rolling in. It's fantastic. Let's get into your coaching because now you've made a career transition, a very awesome one. So you coach and you help mostly women in IT, right? You help them figure things out. So what motivated you to transition from that corporate career to the coaching realm?
That's interesting. When I retired, previous to that, I moved from IBM. I was sick of the travel and needed to stay home, wanted to stay home. So there's only so much plane time you can do. And I became the CIO at the University of Missouri St. Louis in my alma mater. So when I did that, I really had to, I was faced with changing a team culture, which was a new thing to me. Completely doing that, it was the hardest thing I think I ever did. But one of the things I did was invest in a coaching program, an external coaching program for two of my really good high potential folks. And I saw the change that that made in them. They were just instantaneously made changes and enacted changes. And over the course of the year, they became really successful. The best one was she actually left the company or left the university and got a fantastic job elsewhere. And the other exec became a director, and he's still there leading the team. So when I left and retired, the organization that I had these people coach with asked me if I would like to join them. So I've been working with them as a on a contract basis, but doing some really interesting coaching and giving back. I mean, I feel like I have been through so much and done so much that it's time to just give back. And I just enjoy that. It is so rewarding. And it can just be a really powerful thing.
We believe it when you say it, you know. And funny thing is, when you the first part, what you said, Dr. Jane, is you said you were just like, "Well, I'm kinda bored," is what I heard you say, and I have clients when they retire, I say, "Hey, how long are you gonna flip that light switch on and on, right? On and off, because you worked all your life and now you're just standing there." So I love that. I want people to be empowered by that, right? You have this common theme of you don't say no or yes to something until you get all the information. Right? You make an informed so you think it out, you try it, you test it, you go explore it, you know, and you make a game out of it, right? And you just kind of find things. And that's where we get stuck. A lot of times we get stuck in that. I've done that many times. Oh, I don't want to do that. How do you know?
You
Go
don't know.
find out. You don't know, right? And you could have done that. You could have said, "Oh, this sucks. I don't want to do that." But you loved it. So if you get anything out of this, guys, ladies and gentlemen, hey, courage before confidence, right? Go out there and get all you can make a life-changing decision like Dr. Jane Williams did here multiple times. If only you get all the good information to choose from. Get it all first. All right. And by the way, make sure you go to her website. All right. Findyourfirecoach.com. Findyourfirecoach.com. And I want to pivot just a little bit. We'll get back to the coaching in the last few minutes. But you have a book. Explain the book, who's in it, who wrote the forward by it, all this stuff. Tell us about this book, please.
It's an interesting series. It's I was when they reached out to me, I wasn't quite sure. I hadn't heard of it before, but this is the 14th volume actually, where Jim Britt, who is a motivational speaker, a great guy, you can look him up. associated with Tony Robbins, has a great model where he invites successful entrepreneurs or other business people to share articles about cracking the rich code, which is not about how you make money, but is how you make a rich life out of doing what you're doing. And so they reached out, and I am honored to be included in that 14th volume. I wrote an article on corporate entrepreneurship, and the book is endorsed by Tony Robbins, although he hasn't written anything and added to it. But there's lots of information in it. One of the best things I got in one of the former volumes was this concept of being your own butler. And to me, that is such a way to enrich your life. I've started thinking about that. So instead of cleaning the house this weekend, I figured out a way to make it easier to put stuff away. So not only did I get the house clean, but I helped future Jane out. So it's that idea of, he says, what if you could wake up every morning and your clothes would be all laid out for you? Well, that'd be great. So do it. Do it the night before, be your own. So anyway, this is this thing is full of, all the volumes are amazing, and they're just full of all sorts of advice from a ton of different people. So I would definitely encourage checking it out.
I love that. I heard David Goggins say something like that. He's like, instead of coming home and complaining that stuff ain't done, just do it. And I'm thinking, but I'm tired. I don't want. But he's right. Just get it done. I did it the other day. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" She thought I had a fever. I started doing dishes. I say, she needed help. I can do them, right? It was great. Um, the attitude, everything, it's amazing. So you talked about rich life, and I think that's very telling, right? It's not just about money; it's about harmony and crafting it yourself. A lot of times, folks define success for us, or we let them do that, and I know I did. And
Yeah.
you're saying, "Hey, take the bull by the horns," and is that not what you do for women in IT when you sit down and coach them? Explain, what you do and who is an ideal client for you, Jane, because there's a lot of people that need it.
Yeah, and this is men and women both, but a lot of us, and especially in IT, you have a career track ahead of you. You're expected to do certain things. You're expected to achieve this level before you get a promotion, whatever. That's not necessarily the way you should perhaps approach things. Take a step back. What is it that really gets you going? I mean, to me, it was making processes easier. I hate to see people wasting time doing ridiculous things. So I took that and turned that into a unique thing for me that enabled me to open doors at IBM that I never would have been able to do otherwise. And I didn't take that, a lot of people told me don't do that. I mean, as a consultant, um, you don't want to do repeatable processes. Consultants make money off of making very custom things for everybody. That's what they do. So it wasn't a popular thing to do, but as I did it and people got used to to the benefits of it, I made my own way doing that. I also took a strange career turn. About 7 years before I retired, I decided I was already thinking about post retirement where I wanted to go, and I've always wanted to get a doctorate. So, it was time to think about, okay, are we going to push you for the next promotion, which was probably not what I wanted so much, or I came in with a alternative, and I said, listen, why don't you just pay for my doctorate? You'll get a benefit while I'm doing it. I won't, be in the career mold that I don't necessarily want to follow, and we'll both have a win-win. And they said, fine. Everybody was happy with that. So making your own way instead of doing what people tell you to do is so important.
Got to undo the mute button before I talk. Check that out. Let me ask you. So I got so excited. So making your own way. So right then, a lot of us, and maybe it happened to you. I'll let you speak for that. But, well, they'll never go for it. Maybe they'll think I'm silly. I shouldn't ask that. I couldn't come up with that. That's not standard procedure. Who am I to think outside the box, right? Did you struggle with that? And do your clients struggle with that? Because that was, if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have had it. I mean, it could have been totally life changing in a different way. You wouldn't be having this book and all this success and happiness.
And, this is where coaching really came in for me, and I think it can help a lot of people. Yeah, it's scary to do that. And so if you have someone to help you guide your way through this, you can kind of bounce ideas. Like the important thing for me in getting that and making that move to get the doctorate and having them pay for it was not going in there whining. It was going in there with building a strong case in my mind, getting a story together, focusing on exactly who I was going to approach and getting to know them and knowing what they're all about, what keeps them up at late at night, and then going in and making that proposal. So it wasn't just saying, "Oh, you deserve this. I deserve it that you pay for this." It was more
Right.
like, "Here's how we can both benefit." So, and it works.
Right, and have faith in yourself, and you don't have
Yeah,
if you don't have the confidence or the faith, that's why we plug in the people who've been there and done that. It's you, right? You failed more times than most people tried, right? That's what qualifies you, not your doctorates and stuff. That helps, absolutely, you earned it. But you've been there. It's
yeah,
like going to Appalachian Trail, right? If you go and you never hiked before, you've never been there, woo, that's gonna be, that might not end well, right? You don't know how to prepare, you're gonna fall off cliffs, get eaten by bears. When I realized, Jane, that the amateurs do things alone, top level pros, athletes, top of the game, they have coaches, guides, experts that they and more.
exactly.
Yeah. So, how can people tap into you? They want to learn more. They want to check you out. They want to see if it's a good fit. They just need some guidance. How do you start? First of all, is it your website, right? Findyourfirecoach.com. Is that
Right,
good?
right. That's there. One of those crazy things is having the courage and really, really wanting to invest in yourself. And I know this sounds horrible, but a lot of people take the coaching that is offered by their company or offered internally. But I gained so much perspective by going out and hiring my own coach. And there is an ROI, and there's a way to look at this and see how you're going to get a return on investment. And I've got a piece out there that you can download, kind of walks you through how do we do this. What is the ROI? If I'm coaching for a promotion, I really want that promotion. I don't know exactly how to do it. I can maybe work with a coach for 3 to 4 months, get my act together, get the story together, get the confidence to go out and do that. That is huge. Think about that. That promotion
Oh,
just
yeah.
got you notched up the income ladder for a long time. And so that's an income stream that you can put against that investment. So it is an investment, but like you said, athletes, there isn't a single serious athlete out there that doesn't have a coach. But people in
Yep.
business don't think about it. I was told not to tell anybody when I got a coach because they'd see it as a sign of weakness. To me, I'd hire anybody who had the gumption to go out and get a coach because I know they're serious about what they're doing. So,
Yeah. See, and you did it before it was cool. Now everybody's doing it, right? We even have like 17-year-old life coaches out there. Explain that one to me one
uh,
day. Uh, but that's why we're putting you here. People need support. They want someone they can trust, that can guide them through a process. Last question. Man, I told you this went fast. Time flies when you're having fun.
uh,
These folks are awesome. Thank you, Hounds of Business. Thank you, the listeners out in Richmond, Mike King Biz, you guys are awesome. Last question. What does finding your fire mean to you? How do you help your clients discover theirs?
interesting. We said, and when everybody, there's a theory when you're getting a professional coaching certification from the ICF. One of the things they teach you is that everybody who comes into coaching has everything they need to be successful. It's just a matter of bringing that out. So what we do in coaching is do a lot of that and self-reflection and dig deep into yourself and what is it that gets you going? What gets you going in the morning and gets you, um, what gets you really fired up and what are you really concerned about? And for me, it was process redesign. So if you think about that and find that one little nugget, that's what you need to go with because that'll keep you going no matter what challenges you're facing.
Here you go. You all heard it. So go to findyourfirecoach.com, connect, and learn. All right. And get that book. That book's got to be amazing. And, I don't have a book with Tony on the cover. That's cool, man. So appreciate you. And hey, we're going to have you back. Everybody go connect with Jane. Don't do this stuff alone. And yeah, hey, appreciate you guys. Next week, we're going to have another rock star guest as usual. Thank you again, Mike King. Thank you, Hounds of Business, for showing up as always. And thank you, all the folks in Richmond. Cannot wait to see you next Friday, guys. You all have a great, great day. We'll catch you next week. You gotta wave, Princess wave. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.